Thank you, Dean. We now move to the Teacher of the Year awards. We have Professor Prasanna Tantri for his Indian Financial Systems course. I request Professor Prasanna to address the graduating class.
When you join ISB and I was a student on that side, and when you join as a faculty, what you realize, there is a conspiracy to make you successful. That's how I say here. Right from dean's office to the ASA to the AA to the program managers, it's I don't have any other word to any other way of describing than conspiracy to make you successful. Research also says at $2,000, if you start at 2,000 per capita, if you start redistributing, you will neither have growth nor you will have equity. You will be back to snake charming days. Please don't do that. Don't forget wealth creation. That's all. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
I don't know, whether I qualify as a success story that, typically people associate with, because you had people who started, businesses and unicorns and all. So I don't fit into that way of measuring success. But yes, ISB did have a big role to play in my life and my career. When I came to ISB, I came like everybody else, trying to do an MBA to get a better job after that. I'll be sort of lying if I tell you that I had some great vision or something when I came here. The very plain and simple expectation was to get a better job. So first year my job was selling insurance policies. My job was to hire insurance agents, train them, and make them sell policies. I would go on calls with them and make them. So that's why I was called a unit manager. What that job tells you is to, the way they measured in our organization, ICICI Prudential, when I was there, the focus was always on activities. So think about funnel. Every day my manager used to ask me how many new recruitment calls you did, how many field visits you did, and then closure, So I applied exactly same logic to research. So when I think about it, research also involves thinking about new questions, collecting data, sometimes, then analysis, writing papers, presenting them, and trying to publish them. These are different things. So I have a very disciplined process, like in sales, that at any point of time, this funnel is, this is in sales they call funnel. You should have all activities going on at the same time. So if you ask me at any point of time, I have new ideas going on, I have data collection going on, I have some papers under analysis going on, some papers under advanced stages going on, some papers submission, some papers revision, right? So this keeps this thing, it won't be very uniform. Sometimes you have more of this, but you won't have a dull moment. You have all things covered up. So then it becomes a kind of a production system, right? You have some papers getting published, new things coming in, and that's the approach I follow. So typically in ISB, what happens is you have faculty from outside coming, visiting faculty. So there's one complaint that students usually have is you have American cases and non-Indian cases and all. Mine is a complete Desi course, out and out what's going on in the Indian economy. So that's what I teach. It's reasonably popular within ISB. I teach in both the campuses. My area of research is mostly banking. So I look at the interface between banking, politics, and real economy, and regulation, and what roles they play. So my focus is on what's happened in India in the last 10-15 years, and most of my research papers on that. I also do occasionally things on financial inclusion and other related areas. So I'm very narrowly focused as far as research is concerned. That's my area of research. And because banking, unlike in many other countries, it's usually banking is what? It's making savers and investors meet, right? Here in an emerging market context, they have significant more real economic consequences. Yeah, I used to lead a team of selling insurance policies. That actually opened up my eyes about how people think about finance. Now there are books in BCom will tell you what should they do, and when you go to the field, you see what they do, and then you realize gap, and that gives you, that leads to a lot of questions. What else to do? Maybe I thought go to business school. find out, BCom, my learning was inadequate. Let me go to a business school and figure out maybe there are things which, people have already done it. And that's one of the reasons that drove me to business. And there was a professor, Shankar De, and he liked me a lot. I did well in his school. I did reasonably well in almost all courses. So he had a job at CAF, associate director job. CAF is Center for Analytical Finance, which I head now. So the job was, he was having a project, securitization. He was also interested in solving access to credit problems. So there the problem was, the small and medium enterprises, they have receivables from big companies. Let's say think about some part supplier to Maruti. This person has receivables from Maruti, right? And which will come for sure. But then it will take time for this Maruti will stretch as much as possible, delay, because they have power over the small guy. Meanwhile, this person has a problem funding this, because this is a small supplier, is such an asset which is there, which is like a sure shot collectible from or AAA rated borrower. There is no market. So if there is a market for this securitized, if I can take that bill from Maruti and sell it to someone, some investor, so that when Maruti pays, that person will take it. Then my problem will be solved. My problem is liquidity as a small business person. In fact, now it's actually happening. That market is there. That time it was not there. So this was a project Shankar. They wanted to create this market and also handle administration of the center. So he picked me he gave me this offer of associate director. And ISB was kind enough to recognize my interest. And first I joined as a staff member here. They then allowed me to, took me into the PhD program here, and then eventually as a faculty, and now I'm here. So it was not a planned kind of a journey. It's thanks to opportunities at ISB, which recognizes what people are good for and gives them an opportunity, that I'm here, talking to you as a faculty today. When you join as assistant professor, you actually join on a 6, it's not 6, actually it turns out to be 7-year probation. I don't know of many jobs where you have 7-year probation. And then you get a confirmation, you get tenure. So in my case, ISB was generous enough to recognize my publications, and within 2.5 years, I got tenure as well. So that was also happened quickly. So far so good. ISB has been very kind to me. In one of the sort of I got some award for teaching. So in one of the acceptance speeches, I said that I feel here there is a conspiracy to make you successful, even if you don't want to, right? So it was more of a push, right? That happened. I worked hard, I agree, but then ISB has been, a lot of times you work hard, but you don't get recognized. But that's not the case. I can't complain of that at ISB. Now the second question you asked is, why am I interested? I don't have an answer. Why am I interested? Generally I think it is better if people can live a better life, have access to basic resources, and without, because that's required for stability of society also. Let's forget all the, all other grand ideas. For society to be stable, you need to have people having access to, resources. I'm not talking about equality of outcomes. There should be equality of opportunities. To have equality of opportunities, people should have access. You should have, at least you should have an education loan, access to education loan to get education, right? So again, finance comes in there as well, right? So I see financial angle in most of the real problems. That's how I'm wired maybe, and that's why I'm interested. I did not start with working on monetary policy, but I teach in my classroom. So in fact, I have 3-4 papers on them. One of them, and regulation also, where the question itself came from students. A question from, maybe now it's slightly modified and after I thought, but the original thought for that question comes from, so reverse is definitely there. In India, if you are focused on research, if you're interested in teaching, there are a lot of people, very, very talented people in business who want to, who are not now sick and tired of doing the same thing again and again, and who want to explore an academic life. Especially there are people after working for 5 years, they want to do something, and ISB is the place to consider. ISB compromised its own rules and gave me a chance at different stages, and you can say, you can view it as favoritism, or you can view it as flexibility. You can view it both ways. So the test for this is the outcome. After that, what happened? right? So that's what the flexibility that ISB shows, and the eagerness to recognize talent and support. And as I said, I repeat, this is like, once you start working hard here, focusing on what you want to do, it will do everything to make you successful.